Hallo und willkommen zurück auf dem Kanal Tim Brody fährt mit deiner Mutter. Sorry, it's another German car. It's another Volkswagen, and it's the Volkswagen Touareg R with the V6 petrol engine and electric motor. Is it going to be an R, or is it going to be too heavy and too much for a giant SUV to earn that badge? Let's be boring and find out. Yes, this is the Volkswagen Touareg R, and it's a plug-in hybrid that uses the same powertrain as the Porsche Cayenne E. So this is a £72,000 car. The Cayenne is a £71,000 car. So this costs £1,000 more than a Porsche. What are Volkswagen smoking? Well, what they're smoking is this has a lot more kit on the equipment list. I spec'd up a Cayenne to have all the stuff that this has, and it cost £85,000. You needed 15 grand of options on the Porsche to turn it into a Volkswagen. Anyway, that's because the Cayenne only comes with 19-inch wheels, this comes with 22s. It's £4.5 grand to get the Cayenne onto 22-inch wheels, and this has loads of aircon stuff, loads of trick headlights, bits like that, as standard. The Porsche doesn't have those. But anyway, let's look under the bonnet, and I'll show you what makes this tick, or hum and throb slightly. Now, the last time Volkswagen gave the Touareg an R badge, it was on the R50 back in 2008, and that had a 5-litre V10 diesel. We don't have that. We've got a 3-litre V6 with 340 horsepower, which if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you'll remember I had in my long-term Touareg that I run back in 2020. This has got 136 horsepower electric motor going through the gearbox to all 4 wheels, so in total, it's 460 horsepower. That'll get you from 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. It's got a 14.1 kilowatt hour battery, so you can go 27 miles on electric power on its own. I need to stop hitting my Apple Watch on that. So yeah, it's a proper hybrid. It's not just one of those things where the electric motor sends power to the back and this sends power to the front. It's all combined together in one glorious homogeneous thing. Here's a nerdy fact for you. The total system output of this car is more than you got in the old 6-litre W12 Touareg, which Volkswagen did, God knows, 8-10 years ago. So it's now got the biggest brakes that Volkswagen currently offers. They're 400mm discs up front because it's a 2.4 ton car now with the hybrid stuff. The batteries are under the boot floor. We'll get around to that in a minute. But yeah, it's still quite a big, imposing car. And at the moment, you can't get this with 4-wheel steering like you can on the regular Touareg, because all that hybrid stuff on the back axle takes up, well, space. So you can't get 4-wheel steer, and I don't think you can get the 48-volt anti-roll bars yet anyway, because you can get them on the Cayenne, but Volkswagen's not giving them to us on this yet. Sorry, I'm very distracted. There's cows having sex behind the camera. Round at the back, the Touareg R is unmistakably an R model because, well, it's got an R badge right in the middle. It's also got a little E-hybrid badge to tell the world that your massive SUV is definitely saving the planet. You can spec the Touareg R with a tow bar, and it can tow 3.5 tons, which I think is more than any other plug-in hybrid. The boot is electrically operated, as you would hope, and it's a 665-litre space. The normal Touareg is 810, so it's lost, what, 150-ish litres? Because all the batteries and stuff under the floor. There is still a tiny, tiny bit of space, but it's for locking wheel nuts and stuff like that. Basically, that is your usable space. You have buttons at the side to raise and lower it because it's on air suspension as standard to help your dog get in and out. And you've got the Volkswagen Group bag of cables, which are attached by little carabiners to the boot floor, and that obviously takes up some of that 665-litre space. Yeah, that's about it really. You can fold the seats down using those things. If you do fold the seats down, it is a massive space. I can't remember what it is exactly, but when I ran a normal Touareg, it was like a van when you folded the seats down. It was brilliant. Right, let's look inside where it's less windy and cow sexy. Given that the Touareg is the size of a 7-seater SUV, but it's only got 5 seats, they're massive. You've got loads of knee room, loads of headroom. basically loads of space back here, and you've got a reasonably flat floor in the middle for your middle seat passengers. You've got two little USB-C sockets down there which are hidden, and a 12 volt. No heated rear seats in this, but I think they're on the options list. I've got little panels here to change the temperature and where the air is coming from, including from these little vents in the B pillar. But yeah, I've got panoramic sunroof in this one, and it's really light and airy and a pleasure to be in the back. I could probably fit several of those cows in here if I didn't think they were going to cover it in cow juice. And I don't mean milk. Up front, the Touareg R doesn't really change much from the standard Touareg, other than a few R logos on the headrests and on the wheel here. There's a little blue bit around here. It just looks like normal Touareg, just like the one I had, except some blue stitching across the dashboard, things like that. It's all good though. You get a massive digital dashboard. You get the 15-inch touchscreen for most of the sat-nav stuff, which is okay. Quite a lot of the aircon stuff is hidden away in sub-menus. While we're talking about the touchscreen, I should point out this doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You need to plug in to get either of those. You do get heated and cooled seats as standard, but they're not the massage ones like I used to have. Again, you need to go to the options list for that. But all in all, it's pretty much everything you need in here. You've got the wireless charging mat down there, USB-C, massive cubby hole in there with a normal USB, not a C. Driving mode selector is here, and that's how you see the hybrid stuff. So you can switch between electric only mode and hybrid mode and adjust how much of the battery you want to remain at the end of your trip. It's all that kind of stuff really. And the steering wheel has the silly annoying haptic feedback touchy buttons, not the normal buttons. That was a change in the Touareg last year, I think, because my one had proper buttons. Anyway, enough waffling about the interior. Let's go and see how this big heavy hybrid works on the road and whether it really deserves that sporty R badge. Right, let's go for a drive in the Touareg R. Foot on the brake, press the start button, pull it back into drive, and away you go in silence. And already I prefer this to my old Touareg because that electric motor will take you up to 86 miles an hour. And that means, well, you can just pull away in electric mode, obviously, and there's no gearbox. The gearbox on the diesel and petrol Touaregs? Too many Toirs, turned to Jonathan Ross. The gearbox on the regular Touareg is a bit slow, a bit dim-witted, and it's just frustrating when you're kind of pulling away from roundabouts. This doesn't have that problem because that electric motor just chucks you down the road instantly. Let's get out of comfort mode. I should say this is a very comfortable car. It cruises really nicely and feels pretty much like a normal Touareg, except the weight over big bumps, here's a big bump, is a bit more thuddy than in the regular one. That's just the mass of the battery over the back of the car. So yeah, 90% of the time it's as comfortable as a regular Touareg, which means to say very, very comfortable, very refined. But it's an R model, so let's put it in sport mode and give it a bootful. The V6 engine is still really muted, so yeah, it's not really in your face power, excitement, scariness. It's just brisk. It's brisker than the one I had for shizzle. Not 65.1 seconds, that seems about right. It's just got that thing of it's a big heavy car, so it's slightly reluctant to get moving. The electric motor does help, obviously, with that instant wallop. So yeah, so far very comfortable, quiet, and that electric motor does instantly make itself felt. But is it any fun? Is it going to be like a Golf R in terms of amusement? No, I can already tell you. That was just hoofing out of a junction, stability control straight in, no fun, thank you. So yeah, it's still constrained by the old Touareg problems that I had, where the stability control just kicks in all the time because it's a heavy, big car and you don't want to get it out of shape. So no, it is really a cruiser, not a sports SUV. I don't know if that's a shame. I don't know how many people really buy these expecting to be thrilled. You buy a big practical car because you're carrying little people, or well, big teenagers around, and you want to carry stuff. You probably don't drive it on its door handles, but if you do want something like that, get a Cayenne, and probably not the hybrid one of those either. Probably just a GTS or something like that. So yeah, the steering of this, it's got no feel to it. It's light, it's easy to place on the road, makes it easy to park even without that four-wheel steer system, but it doesn't exactly make you want to drive it fast. Visibility is bad because I've got a GoPro there. No, visibility is pretty good, even out the back. Actually, it's really good for a big car like this. Everything is nice and delicate, the A-pillars and everything else. You can see out it's a good car to live with. It's just not going to set your world alight with speed or anything like that. As I pointed out earlier, if you move the drive selector or press it in, then you can change to E mode, where it just cuts out the petrol engine. There we go, petrol engine's gone away. I'm still doing 40 miles an hour. I've got 18 miles of range left on the batteries. All that information is displayed in here. I would say that the combined range with a full charge and a full tank of fuel is only about 400 miles, which isn't loads, is it? Like the regular petrol one I had did 480, I think. Obviously, they've made the petrol tank smaller to accommodate the batteries. So just bear that in mind if you want to do big trips in this. If you're relying on the petrol engine, then realistically, 350, 400 miles is your lot. Right, I'm now at motorway speeds, and as I said earlier, it's very quiet, it's very calm. I'm in normal mode. The world is good. Visibility out the mirrors is good. It's very easy to drive. You've got blind spot warning, all that kind of stuff that you get in big SUVs these days. I should stop using the word good. It's just perfectly decent and comfortable. Let's just do a cheeky launch to see how fast it actually feels. Instant shove actually from the back. Okay, yeah, that does feel really fast. That V6 is muted but somehow still a bit thrashy. It's not a lovely noise when it revs up. But yeah, that felt proper quick actually. There's that sense of the instant torque going to all four wheels, just going ba-doo. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think that makes it worthy of the R badge, just not so much the handling. Anyway, enough waffling about driving cars. Back to you, Tim, for an outro. Hopefully the cows have calmed down a bit. So in conclusion, to answer my original question, does the Touareg R deserve an R badge? Then, well, it does, but with a caveat. It does R very differently to something like the Golf R. It doesn't feel as playful. It doesn't feel quite as sporty. It's still fast, but it's more of an autobahn cruiser than something you're going to take on a twisty country road and enjoy. But that's no bad thing. That hybrid motor's really fixed the Touareg's annoying gearbox that plagued me when I had one. And it's still supremely comfortable. The sportiness hasn't ruined the ride or anything like that. It's very high tech. It's got a lovely cabin, loads of space, and it's actually cheaper than my old Touareg. I spec that to 75 grand with just the V6 petrol. This gets most of that kit really for a bit less money. So I reckon this might become the default Touareg for people. That said, the range is only 400 miles combined petrol and electric, whereas my old petrol one could do 480 and a diesel one with the bigger fuel tank you can get, well, I can go on basically to Jupiter and back. So if you want a long distance cruiser, do bear that in mind. But otherwise, I quite like it. It's got Darth Vader looks, lovely blue paintwork, that's an option. It's just a good all-round car really, but don't come to it expecting Porsche levels of fun and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the old bell, and I'll see you next time where the cows will be finished, I hope. Not on each other.